So I had to make a list for this one. So gladly, the era of the broke creative or artist is over, and due to my years of experience, which has come with a lot of struggle, I have been able to find some bit of clarity. I think it's time I share with other creatives like me or those who are trying to, define who they are. Today, I just want to share questions I've asked myself in the past to, really define who I am, what I am supposed to be, how I am supposed to, give value out, and how that value can in turn bring me income. Because we ain't doing the stabbing artist shit here any longer. So without further ado, let's jump into the first ever question. And mind you, these questions have been arranged chronologically. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you have to define is yourself, because if you don't understand your value, how are you going to be able to give it out, right? So you have to know thyself. I had to know myself. It was quite a, how would I say, it was like fixing a puzzle, especially when you're a multifaceted individual, especially when you're multi-talented person. You have, it's going to be like a puzzle in order for you to know where to stand and how it presents yourself. So you have to know what you're good at and what your ultimate drive is. So mine, I've been able to define myself here. I love painting, and I also noticed that I make sure that my painting are not just aesthetically pleasing, and I have been able to, define a message and reflect the times in the works that I do. So for you, it might be something different. And also, I also love to tell stories. So even if some of my paintings are reflecting the times, I also would love to tell my story in general in the form of film, and also love to help people tell their stories in a visual format. And there are other things that I picked along the way, but painting, filmmaking, and design. Rather, you've defined everything that you can give, everything that you have. So, what can you offer with your gifts in this ever evolving world? It's crazy because one of the reasons why I choose to stand on the creative point, an artist point, and not just the sub categories of creative work, like saying I'm a graphic designer, saying I'm a graphic designer or I'm a 3D artist and stuff, is because it's an ever evolving world. And there's something I know about transferable skills. These are like the biggest skills ever. So I prefer to develop my transferable skills. I prefer to understand the theory behind it is. I prefer to, know the soul behind it is instead of learning a skill that might become irrelevant in the near future. Instead, I try to be my eyes are built to see, and I build my mind in a way to help tell stories, right? So these are transferable skills. Stories internal. It's going to last for a freaking donkey years, right? I make sure that I develop that part of me. I'm developing my storytelling abilities. I'm building the skill of discerning, and I'm building the skills of communication. Like that's transferable into any future that we are going to find ourselves in this ever evolving world. So right now, you understand that culture and art move like this. It's like bread and butter. How do you fit into the present culture? How do you fit into the present culture, present times? To be a painter on canvas is internal. To be a photographer is internal because, like I said, you're reflecting the times and telling the stories. It's quite internal. But there are some other skills that you can, render. It's a whole blood. So I'm not going to mention specific ones. So you just have to decide. Like we have decided the ones that I fit into, right? Because, like I said, it's no longer the era of styling artists. Like it's a creator's economy. Like there are videos everywhere. So like filmmaking has been broken into numerous subgenres. Then you have to just pick the one that fits you, even if that's not what you're planning to do as a career. But doing projects like this on the side is going to help build your confidence in general. then you can probably tell the big story that you want to tell. You can probably lend your voice in the way you want to lend it. But before then, and as you're building, there are different ways and numerous ways you can actually lend your voice, right? So we are not doing the stabbing artist shit here. The fourth question you want to ask yourself is, what problem are you solving? As an artist, yeah, as it's in first century artist, right? Especially when you understand that all you have is what you've been given, you have to like carry yourself as a brand, right? I'm going to use several people that carry themselves as a brand as example, like people I look up to, uh, people like Pharrell Williams, people like Virgil Abloh, people like Kanye. Kanye would have just been called a musician, but Kanye went forward to prove that he's not just a musician, he's the creative in general. Like he is an artist, not a musician. Right? He doesn't use the create part. That if you've noticed, the fact that Kanye presented himself as an artist, branded himself as an artist, has given him more leverage to be able to break rules. The fifth thing you have to do, right, is that you have to identify that brands that inspire you. You know, most times when there is no one to copy from, like I'm going to use babies as example. I I don't know, I've not been in the place, but I just feel like if a baby is born and left all by himself, they might not be able to learn to speak anything. That's why babies learn the languages of, you know, wherever they find themselves. That's why babies also learn to pick up, that the babies pick up, the culture around them and stuff. So you do not have to start from scratch as an artist. By the time you find out that you have keys, what you have to now do is look forward to people that have been using that gift, people that have put the keys into play, people that have, made something out of the case. That you identify probably like 5 people that, you look up to, that inspire you, you want to be like. You might not be necessarily, create a blueprint around that. For me, I have seen a couple of people. I know I've said this before on this channel. One of the artists I look up to is Dennis Osadebe. He's an artist and a designer, and I like the way he has branded himself, and I would probably brand myself around the way he has branded himself more. Looking into him also, I've seen that I cannot just brand myself like him because I'll be falling short. Right, so I stole like an artist and I picked, tiny bits from all the people I admire. Another person I admire a whole lot is Pharrell. Pharrell Williams is one of my role models because I like how he has presented himself again like an artist, not just subjecting or putting himself just to a specific field. He has shown that his skills are transferable. Like tomorrow, I think Pharrell Williams can even turn into a barista and we'll all drink his coffee. Like that's how much, because the thing about being a multidisciplinary creative or artist is that you are building skills that can be used in every field. I don't think when it comes to being a multidisciplinary creative, there's nothing like a jack of all trades and master of none. Actually, every skill you learn in one is transferable to the other and it helps you master others. I know because I am talking from experience. And what I've been able to do is filmmaking, painting, graphic design, and product design. But this product design part is what the part I've not shared lately. I've not been able to share it to the world. Something I'm doing just to fulfill and fuel the fire inside me, and I might bring that out soon, pretty soon. But what I'm trying to say is that I've learned that the design process is design process everywhere. All the things I've learned, all the things I've pushed my skills into, they have been transferable to, all other aspects of my life and all other aspects of my life and all other aspects of my creative life too. So there's nothing like a jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to being a multifaceted individual. So like I said, you have to find something appealing about these people that, makes you respect them, makes them inspire you. I've chosen for baby role model that I have. For some, I chose the use of colors. I like the way they use colors. Like for my art style, I call it in the ice cream tone. That's what I call it. I call it the ice cream forward. So there's something I like to do. I like to use analogous colors. and just introduce one color that is off, not necessarily a complementary color, but just introduce something that is going to stand out. So I call it the ice cream cup. That's what I call my design style. That's what I call my art style. And even in filmmaking, some part of the filmmaking I'm going to be doing, that's what I'm reading, try to build into. That's when I have the proper resources to create something, of that nature. And for some, I chose their charisma, how they carry themselves. And for some, I chose the fact that they've not been put into any form of box, right? They chose the fact that they've not been put into any form of box and it's working for them. And for some, I think for Samuel Ross, Samuel Ross is one of the people that I look onto to. He's a designer. He designed this an apprentice of Virgil Abloh. He did a code wall. He's the designer for a code wall. I think he's based in the UK. So what I chose about what I learned from Samuel Ross is curation, how learning to curate and present things. That's something I'm still learning from him. Not just learns, I'm still learning. I like the way he curates and presents his works. Like he he makes he makes luxury easy. Not that I want to not that I want to take all my designs into luxury and stuff. No, that's not it. I just like the way he presents his ideas at the end of the day. I That's one thing I've learned from him, and that's one thing I'm stealing because, like, it's still you're artistic like an artist, and I'm stealing from all these people I look up to. One thing here, one thing from there, and just like that. So now that you've defined yourself, because all these questions, by the time you ask yourself these questions, you're going to be defining yourself. So you have to ask yourself, what do you do, and how do you do it? Like I have told myself that okay, I am a neo-African painter. My style is high skin top paint. How do I intend for my paintings to serve the general public? I intend for it to serve the general public by creating awareness even to the little thing. My current body of work is called Discerning, Unlearning, and Learning. So what I'm trying to do is that in this body of work, I'm trying to make us see the human experience and as not a curve of the experience, and also see that the human experience has been designed in the way our environments affect us in a certain way, and we also affect our environment in a certain way, and it has also been designed in a way that the factors around us might determine how much we will grow or how much it wouldn't grow. Even though if it's the same way for plants, I've been able to also try to make people see how it works in the human experience. Apart from that, I'm also trying to promote sustainability. Aside from promoting sustainability, I'm also trying to promote restoration, because every choice we make should be a sustainable one, and things that we do should be in a way that nothing decays. Even if decay is part of the process, it shouldn't be something that decay is into oblivion to something that decays into something better. That's how I do what I do, right? And for my design parts, I've also chosen sustainability in a way, and I've also, created a world in which design is supposed to affect your mood and affect the way we experience life in general. Like my most recent design, which is a table, it's called the April table. It's not just a table designed for just being a table, right? It's a table designed for us to appreciate. I'm a black person. I'm in Nigeria. I'm an African. And there's a black person. I'm an African. And then this thing to say that if you want to hide something with a black man, you put it in the book, right? So this table design is designed in a way that it wants to make you keep books. It wants to make you keep little things. It wants to make you keep little sentimentalities that define you. So why I call it evil, because it defines who you are. And evil means the beginning. Okay, yeah, the beginning, opening. So that's where that's what I am trying to do in most of my design. My designs are first sustainable, mood altering, and also driving you to better shape your identity. Then for the filmmaking, I want to tell my story unapologetically, and I also want to help people tell their stories. And right now, brands are trying to tell their stories, people are trying to tell their stories, countries are trying to tell their stories. So this just has to be a way, for you to help tell stories. So that's what I'm giving. That's what I know how to do, and that's how I am going to do it. And that way, I'm going to attract paid opportunities. And I don't know what it might be for you, but that's how I'm doing mine. You can just take a blueprint from that. Another thing you have to ask yourself, another thing I'm asking myself is, how can I actually define my brand personality? Who am I? How am I going to shape myself? This doesn't come in handy. I'll be truthful. The reason why I'd have to define my brand personality is just like going to the market. There's a reason why you take a certain item. There's a reason why you go like a certain person. There's a reason why you choose certain schools, because they define what you like and what you want. So defining your personality is just going to help you stand out among the whole chaotic crowd that we have right now. So that's one big part I am still trying to figure out. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet one bit. I've been able to figure this out on the paper, but have I been able to put it out yet? I have not been able to put it out yet, but I have plans of getting down on nerves, which is a shit ton of work. But right now I'm trying to focus on getting 5 pieces out for my present body of work. Then I can find balance again, because the year is actually running out and open calls are flying around everywhere. And man, I need a residency to be able to focus on my craft properly and put myself in an environment for that. So for now I'm focusing on that. So by the time I'm done defining my personality, there are going to be campaigns, right? I have to, there are going to be campaigns like to tell my story, show who I am, give my value proposition, do what I'm offering as an artist, as a person, as a designer, as a storyteller. So you have to define the channels. For now, the channel that is saving me for now is YouTube. It should be saving this part of my creative process. The not so glamorous part of my creative process, YouTube and 7, not so glamorous part of my creative process. And that's why I've chosen YouTube. Am I going to be more active on other platforms in the future? Yes, I'm going to be active on other platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and I think TikTok, Instagram, X, and probably Threads. No, not really all that in the X, because I'm not the writer. I deal with colors, so more. And just to put myself out there, I have to define ways so that I'll be able to tell my story, share my works, bring myself to the limelight on Lex. And that's literally all the questions I've asked myself lately to become, an artist who is not just a starving artist, who is, an artist that earns. And I hope this stuff was actually very valuable to you. At this point, I would love for you to help the algorithm push this video. And this is why I want you to help the algorithm push this video. All right. I want people who are at the creative part of our arts and creative career to see these videos. There's a way you can help me do that. If you got value from this, just type value in the comment section. I'll really appreciate that. And I'll appreciate the fact that other people are actually going to get this message. And you should also hit the like button on this video. And if you know any creative who's actually struggling with identity crisis at this point, I would ask for you to send this video to the person, because there was some time in my life where I had no understanding as to how I am going to present myself or how I'm going to give value to the ecosystem. So I'll appreciate you to drop a comment in the comment section. Just type value in the comment section and also hit the like button. I love you for staying to this point of this video, and I wish you all the best in the endeavors, and peace. Bye.